Hi guys, Jason Smith here. Welcome to the AskGolfNut channel. So this could well be the single most important swing aid, training aid device ever created. And it's this, the HackMotion sensor. Now this HackMotion sensor, there's two parts to it. One that goes over your wrist with a Velcro strap, and it's connected via a little cord to the sensor which goes onto your glove. And if you don't wear a glove and if you just swing normally without a glove, you have the option of a strap which then obviously connects onto the sensor, wraps around your hand like the elasticated goes around your wrist, and you can work it with that. Doesn't really matter. Now obviously most people wear gloves and you can just literally clip it into the Velcro part of your glove there. What is HackMotion? So HackMotion is a sensor which works out wrist conditions. It's constantly working out what your wrist conditions are at address, at the top of your backswing, and then into transition, into then downswing. What is your wrist doing? And remember, wrist conditions are the primary controller of club base. We'll get into that when we go to the hitting area, and I'll show you exactly what the wrist conditions do. But that's what it's measuring. Now, if you suffer from face which is open, slices, if you suffer from high, wafty, weak shots out to the right for a right-handed golfer, or you're a pull or a hooker of the golf ball, hit really low shots, hit really high shots, want to know why you're doing what you're doing, well, this HackMotion sensor will detect exactly what your wrist conditions are at impact to showcase exactly where that fault comes from. Now, a lot of the time when it comes to you working down the range or working at your course, working with your pro and stuff like that, trying to get direct feedback of exactly what you're doing wrong is the key. Now, a lot of people obviously practice a lot of shots, but if they don't know exactly what they're practicing, you can actually end up continue to practice the wrong thing. And so having direct feedback is absolutely key for proper, correct practice. This is really very, very easy to calibrate. I'm going to go over there now. Let's quickly just calibrate it. It's saying in position, you can see by the iPad by the side of me. Is it in position? It is. Just do that, it says. Next one, it says, just raise your arm up. There you go. And there you go. So when I was doing the calibration, it says just to keep your arm flat, of which it was. Not like that, not like that, not like this, or not like this. You kind of get the idea. Just flat. It doesn't have to be specifically accurate from a point of I've got to go get a level and no. You just have a flat wrist and then it measures from there. So you can see there, as I move, you can see that the little avatar is moving around at the same time. So you can see I've got massive extension there, and then flexion, and then radial and ulnar deviation, and there's also, as you can see by the avatar, as I rotate my wrist, does the same thing. Right, let's go over to the hitting bay, the hitting area, and let's go see exactly why wrist angles are so important and how HackMotion can help you greatly understand why you are going wrong in certain aspects when it comes to club face control. So now at the hitting bay, let's go have a look at how this HackMotion works and how the sensors work in what they're doing. You can see there at the moment, I'm sitting on -3 and -24 on the ulnar deviation. You can see it just fluctuating there because it's live. It's detecting what I'm doing. And so using the HackMotion can allow you to get a so much better control of face angle. So many golfers suffer from poor face control, of which if they only just understood what their wrists were doing, it would make it a lot easier for them to understand what that is doing. Because remember, this is the last fulcrum point before we get to the important bit, the directional stick on the end. Now I've got a pointer on there so you can see by the cameras where this face is pointing regardless of what my wrists are doing. What we're looking at when it comes to the wrist conditions is a consistent number being applied. It doesn't matter what it is necessarily. What I mean by that is, let's call it extension first of all. The green thing at the top, you can see there I'm at 16, 15 degrees, that kind of idea, and that is how much extension I've got in this wrist. Now if I'm going to start off, let's just say I'm going to start off and I'm starting off with that, I'm at +10 there, yeah, that's how much extension I'm starting off with. At the top of the backswing you have whatever, but into impact you want to be seeing a de-lofting of that. You want to see a de-loft. The whole idea is that because you want to start hitting down and you want to control loft and face control. The best way to do that is by moving your value of whatever you are to start with into a small amount of the opposite. So let's say we started off with 10. So let's go from this point here, though the camera can pick me up. So let's get me here. I'm at 10 degrees, 11 degrees, yeah? I want to go to the top of the backswing. You can get into here and you want to get down to flexion. There you go. So I've gone from +10, -4, -5, that kind of idea. There you go, yeah? Because I am trying to hit down and I'm trying to de-loft, trying to control face. Now, so many people, they'll come into the back, they have good backswings, they come into impact and they start getting this. They start breaking down early. You can see my extensions are +22. I started off at 10. And so how much loft have I delivered now? Face angle's pretty good because my path is pretty good, but my loft delivery is mental. It's crazy. It's just looking up at the sky. Now, frequently what I see is people doing that, early releasing this way, but then adding the lack of rotation in. The fact that they haven't allowed their hands to naturally release through. They do this like that, and they have this, that want. And so, of course, they get to the shot where they get like this, and not only do you have a mass amounts of extension, but you have a poor amount of rotation. Look where that face is aiming now. That's looking high and right. If you then couple that with a path which is going across, that is why you get these weird and wonderful flights. No different to the other people, because everyone suffers from a different thing. We're talking about the people now that overhook it. They're talking about over flexion and over a rotation. You can see there that the golf club comes in and it's looking directly left with very, very little loft. Now, obviously, if you push your flexion even more, you can get that face to straight, but that's why people hit it about that high off the ground, because they're displaying so little loft. Again, the HackMotion sensor is detecting every single part of that. And so another thing that the HackMotion sensor can do is it can give you audio feedback when you are doing what you want to do right or wrong. So you can either have it so it plays when you're doing the wrist angle correctly, or you can have it so it plays no noise when you're doing it correctly and only makes noise when you're outside of range. Now, you can do that easily by the app. So if you go down to the app now, you can press the menu icon at the very top and it's audio feedback. And at the moment you can see there that it's set, get out of the way, there we go, so we don't make a noise. It's set from 15 to 15, -15 to +15. And that at the moment is in flexion and extension, which you can see there as I move, you can see it's moving there. And you can also set it for a radial and ulnar deviation as well, if you want to work on your high handle delivery, dynamic glide, that kind of idea. And then obviously for the mode, you can either have it immediate, as in straight away, as soon as you're doing it, or after shot. Yeah, you kind of get the idea. Right, so the easiest way, you can either set your ranges, your degrees range if you want to, but at the moment we'll just do, we'll turn it on now. At the moment it's set to inverted range, so whilst I'm in the zone, it will not make a noise, and as soon as I go out the zone, it makes a noise. So, and then you can flick it round so it goes the other way. It's making a noise, outside a zone, not making a noise, back inside a zone, making noise. So I'm a fan of it not making noise, I guess. So let's turn that on. There you go. As soon as I move, you can see it either goes off or not. So let's just do move the board out of the way. Let's get in some form of normal stance. There we go, like we're going to go hit a shot. And you can see the numbers move. As soon as I go out of zone, it will make a noise. So if we go, there you go, like that. So you go top of your backswing. You can work, so as soon as I want to go into like that, into lag, I go very close to that. I normally am there, but from there into, you can get direct feedback as to how you want to be. Now obviously you've got a certain amount that you can be and it won't go off. But if you're someone who comes in and goes straight away, goes off. See, you can actually practice that motion with the wrist being in the right angle because of that audio feedback, which is brilliant. Because now you've got a link between feel and real by an audio feedback on there, and it has it because of the app. And that's just at the moment, yeah, the app is massively in depth, so it's that's just another feature. So let's go to see what I've done. I've captured 8 shots to show you what I do as a normal, so recalibrate it properly, do all through the normal things, and I've got a table of 8 shots. And I can show you the unique way that I have worked out how I swing by using HackMotion. And I do some interesting different things which you don't all see all good golfers do, but we'll go have a look exactly how the HackMotion has registered how I do things and see if we can learn anything from what I do. Right, so you can see on the screen there, I have got my last 8 shots that I've just hit. And in there, on the left-hand side, I've got the tiles, and the right-hand side, I've got the table. So you can actually see exactly what I'm doing for all of them. And you can see how either good or bad I am at being consistent or not. And if you look at the address, let's just look at the first one. The address on there, I range from +5 to +10. And that's how much extension I am. How much of my wrist is in this way at address. Again, I've got a slightly stronger grip, so I'm always going to be slightly in and around that. And of course, I have a certain amount of movement because obviously we are humans. But the last one I had +7. And then the interesting part straight away that you'll see the difference between +7 and +44. That's a big difference. Now, this is where I kind of pull away a little bit from a lot of people, because there is always a push for someone to have whatever they have at the start and at the top being flat, having a flat wrist. Well, yes, to a certain extent, depending on what your grip is initially, that will control club face from that point there to the top part of the swing. However, what it does do also, for me, by adding in so much extension, can you see the next one underneath, the blue? I go from -30 in the ulnar and radius, so you've got radial and ulnar, yeah, radius, ulnar, and deviation is how much is moving up and down, up and down, up and down. Now, in address, -30, you're going to get that because you've got this relationship here. Because the club goes through the fingers, not the palm, if you find yourself with not a very big ulnar number to start with, chances are because the grip is up in your palm, not where it should be in the fingers. Always grip the golf club from vertical, and that means it goes straight into the fingers, won't go into the palm. Right. You can see I start off with -30, which is normal for me. At the top of my backswing, I'm at +32 radial, which effectively I've gone from here to here. Yeah, that's what people see as lag. As you come around here and want to get that lag angle, well, that's what people perceive as lag. Why have I gone +44 in extension? To get my 32 degrees of lag angle. Now, why I do that is because if you start off with a 0 wrist in flexion and extension, so 0, yeah, so it's not this way, it's not that way, it's fairly flat. And I try and get my wrist, this is the difficult bit, I try and do it, that I try and keep that wrist from flexing, right? So it's 0, flat there, and I cannot get that golf club up anymore. That's maxed out how much this I can do, yeah? However, as soon as I then go into extension, look at where that golf club goes. I can get a serious amount more lag angle. Now, I'm not saying you should do that. I'm just explaining what I do so I can get the amount of lag, retained angle, that I would want. But I have to compromise a certain wrist angle to get there. However, because I'm pretty decent at doing it, over the passage of time, I have got to a point of where I've gone from -30 to +32 to -24 again. When you look at the top one, I go from +7 to +44, which would be perceived as bad, having a big extended wrist angle, but I have developed the swing over time to go from +7 to -3. Effectively, I am now de-lofting the golf club because I am going into fraction extension. Like that. So you can see there's a 10-degree difference. And I suppose if you look at them, if I look at them now, I'm going an average of +7 to -4. You can see from every so often there's ones that go more than others, because obviously we're talking about the fact that we are human beings, but we are looking at a consistent-ish deviation from that number. There might be movements either way from time to time, but you're talking very, very small numbers. What we're looking at from an amateur golfer point of view is glaringly obvious bits. Now, of course, if you're coming in and you're going like that, as in the case you're getting rid of the angles early, not only when you set yourself to a golf ball and then you get rid of your angles early, you're not only going to hit the ground early, because that's where fats and things comes from, because when you extend your wrists early, you elongate the artificial arc of your swing, and of course you hit the ground. Now, you've either got to move greatly in front of the golf ball to try and counter that, or come up, or you just hit the ground. So it's a swing fault. But that's, you can see that as soon as you do that, the HackMotion will detect the fact that you're early extending. You get into that position straight away. You can see that. It will come up on the screen, not as -3. It would come up as plus whatever. And that's the main thing you want to take from the HackMotion, is the fact that when you go from whatever number to start with, and then you come into impact with a known number what you should be, when it comes to HackMotion, you should always be in more flexion than you are in extension at impact. Then if you've got more extension at impact than you have at the start, well, that's not good, because the problem is, by doing that, even if you make a half decent effort hitting the golf ball, this is with a decent path, you can see how much loft is being delivered there, like loads. So that's going to be a really weak high flight, and you're not going to get what you want out of the golf shot, because you're putting in everything yourself but not quite getting what you'd expect from the ball. What I more commonly see is when people come in, they come in with that extension, but they do it with a lack of rotation and leave their face open as well as compromised in loft. And of course, then you get that high, weak right flights. So when you've got a face which is open and loads of loft, that's what encourages people to swing left, because they're trying to get that golf club to get to a point where it's aiming somewhat straight. It's the chicken and the egg thing when it comes to club face and path. A lot of people suffer from slices, a lot of people suffer from hooks and stuff like that. It all stems from poor club face control, and of course then their body, their brain, develops a swing around a poor control or poor understanding of what this is doing to try and get that golf ball somewhere close to target. So when it comes to the HackMotion app, you can really go down the rabbit hole if you want to. The app is possibly the most in-depth app that I've ever known of any company to ever make. But it does allow you, should you want to get a very, very good understanding of exactly what your wrist angles are doing at impact. Gives you a really, really good understanding of what they should be, because there's tutorials and other things on there. You can compare your swings against PGA Tour players, against Andrew Beef Johnson and stuff like that, if you want to. But the main thing when you're looking at comparisons between tour players, etc., is you're looking at the patterns that they produce. Yes, they'll do things uniquely in their own unique way, like I do when it comes to my extension at the top of the backswing, which most people would deem as a swing fault. But when you look at other players, other very, very good PGA Tour players, they are all doing things their unique way. But they all do things a very similar way when it comes to their differences between their starting position and their impact position. And that's something that you guys want to try and emulate when you're using HackMotion at whatever tier you are on, because remember they do make 3 tiers. You've got the entry level, which I think just does extension and flexion, and then you've got the medium tier, which adds a little bit of ulnar radial deviation as well, because obviously a lot of people suffer from high handle, dynamic lie problems, and of course that will show from that. And then you can go to the Pro. And this is the Pro model, where if you want to, you can then flick it from obviously one side lead hand to the trowel wrist as well. Well, from a right-handed point of view, if it was the other way, that would be the lead hand, and that you kind of get the idea. And that allows you to give the Pro gives you every single range of motion that you can ever think of, and all the data you could ever want. And that's if people want me to do a more in-depth video on the app itself, I will do. It just means that this video would be massively longer if we even touched on half of the stuff that app is capable to do. So, hope you liked the video. If you did, thumbs up. YouTube's like it, so do I. Down there is a subscribe button. It's free and it's great for the channel. If you could subscribe, that's brilliant. Next to it is a bell icon. That is a notification bell, and if you click that one, that will notify you next time I upload another video. So I hope you're well, and we'll see you again soon.